Performer of the Year, Jadakiss. What do you think about that?
So Mike and I were talking. I think we were both in the car earlier when we were talking, and I was just telling him it's like, and this is like Jada's having not even an MC moment. He's having a culture moment where he is reinvigorated and regalvanized a sentiment that lies within the belly of our culture. He's brought it back to the surface with his performance. And so if she's talking about performer of the year, oh, well, hell yeah, because what he invoked for this culture with one performance, Mike, it's like, it's Tupac like how he just gravitated and shifted things.
Well,
You
yeah, he
feel me?
definitely changed verses, right? Like he changed the
I
whole
mean, he
approach for
changed, yeah, he
verses.
changed the makeup of things.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that's hard to do when you don't have an album out, Mike. I mean, as a matter of fact, I mean, it's like, and it's not like we haven't heard him this year. I mean,
mhm.
he's on arguably the hip hop song of the year, Black Illuminati with Gibbs.
I was gonna
That's
say that.
arguably the best rap song this year. He has a whole lot to do with that.
Do you
You
think there
know,
was a missed opportunity here? Because I know Jada dropped early last year and he dropped the Locks album last year. Do you think after the verses that Jada should have maybe threw together maybe 8 songs, boom, put them out there?
no, no, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he's handling the situation the way an icon should, not the way a new artist should. He's handling it the way an icon should. He's like, yeah, yeah, give me flowers that I know I've already earned, not let me go put something out. He don't have to put nothing out because what he been saying all the time is like, no, I'm Kiss, I'm top 5 dead or alive. This was the first year that him saying that felt like legitimate on some sort of level, and so he took that moment in,
You
and
know
a
who I
legend
would
should do that.
when you say that, you know who I would compare him to as we talk about like NBA legends, because I know we do a lot of hip hop NBA correlations and analogies. He's kind of like a Jason Kidd, right? Where he's able to just control the pace, stay consistent, and even if he's not part of the highlight reel, he is there. Like he's always effective.
No, Mike, I think that's an accurate assessment because I think the thing about Jason Kidd is that people complain, well, it's like, well, he can't shoot that well. It's like, well, he does everything else Hall of Fame well.
Well,
If you go,
before he
if you go to
retired, I think he
Jadakiss,
was number 3 in 3 point
right,
shots
and,
made. So
he
he's
ended
all
up
right.
being a solid set 3-point shooter at the end of his career. And
Yeah,
so, much like Jadakiss, the knock on Jadakiss is like, oh, well, he don't have those bangers or those hit records. It's like, well, he does everything else Hall of Fame well.
right. I
Right.
remember when Jason Kidd in the latter years. I think this was he was playing for the Knicks after Dallas, after he won with Dallas. But yeah, you know the Knicks have always been discombobulated, especially in the Carmelo, J.R. Smith years and all that. He got on that squad. They were a playoff team. They looked different when he was on the court. The stats weren't showing it, but it was some different things going on when Jason Kidd was on the court. It was really a
Mike,
floor general, and that's exactly what Jada did that night in Madison Square Garden. He galvanized that whole situation. It wasn't really about the records; it was about him mostly. I mean, the
Mike,
records were there. He
Mike.
outperformed. He outperformed Dipset himself. Where Cameron had to jump out and be like, "Look, man, I need to take on the rings of this."
Mike, ask any Duke fan about Jason Kidd. Has a freshman in the second round the year after we had won back-to-back national championships. We played Cal in the second round, and they were talking about this freshman point guard named Jason Kidd that could be a problem for Duke. He ran Bobby Hurley's ass off the floor
Yeah.
that day as a teenager. He was like Hall of Fame caliber then. Let's just quick Jason Kidd story. Like I've known about Jason Kidd since that game. Like he ran him off the floor. It's like that guy's the first pick in the draft. Like whenever he wants to come out, and that was with Grant Hill on the floor that day.
When did you say that you thought Jadakiss had his breakthrough verse? Was that Reservoir Dogs?
No, Blackout on Social Mafia.
Blackout. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
DMX's second album.
DMX's second album.
I used
You
to have
know,
bad luck. Now you might see me in a Jag truck, mad stuck, either with a dime or a bad duck. Double RT with the matching bandana.
Money, power, respect. I know that was really DMX's breakthrough for me. But Jadakiss verse was crazy on there, man.
I sneeze on tracks and bless you. I'm special.
And
And
if you
if you
like
like
working
working
out and
out,
I'm gonna
then I'm
stretch
gonna
you,
stretch you.
hustling is
Hustling
dead,
is
but we
dead,
still
but
make
we
bread.
still
Yeah.
get bread. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Try to figure out who the locks is. Keep
yeah. No,
out
he was
yeah.
lyrically the best on that song, but that's that effect of X too. When X came on, it was like, go ahead and wrap everybody up, put them in a bag.
This is a beat that I could freak. Just drop the real. Plus niggas ill. Y'all niggas know my skills. X,
I think it's
real.
one of my
Hit them
skills.
up. Hit them up. Yo, that verse is, you do dirt, you get dirt. Trick, click, step back like I did work. Think it's fucking game. You think we playing till you land? Yeah, that's hard to match, man. Like,
When he's
it's
bringing
the,
that energy and that
it's the
intensity, like,
energy, it's the approach. Like, X never really been, I guess,
then
by
super
New York
lyrical.
standards, he's never been lyricist.
No, it's
But
never that. Right?
he was very Tupac, Scarface ish in the way where he was able to make you feel what was going on. He's a person that we leave off of that, I guess filler music type shit like with Siegel, Scarface, and Tupac. But he's right there with that. He just had the ability to make some hit records that Scarface and Beans didn't make in that era.
Yeah, he's something different in that sense that
Yeah.
it's like he's not a plus lyricist, but he's a dope lyricist.
Oh, definitely. He could take
He's
it
not
there. He's
right,
telling you his
right,
story.
right. He writes a good in depth song, but not as good as Scarface or Tupac. Like so, he was always somewhere, but he put all those things together and made like great music.
What did you think about? I don't want to jump around too much because I did want to get to one of these comments, and everybody's blowing up the comment section. I like K Thompson's comment. He said feature of the year was Wayne to me. Individual feature or just featured artist?
Okay, so inside information, I think Wayne is probably going to be our feature artist of the year in our yearbook, most likely, Mike, because the work is brief. It's also stellar, Mike. Like
He's
he just
everywhere. He's on AZ's album. He's on
showed
Tyler's
out,
album. He's
showed
on
out,
West Side's album.
showed out, showed out on all three of those records, Mike. Like those three records are alone enough to give him guest appearance artist of the year. Like that's
His
how those
weakest feature might have been on Drake's album.
His what?
His weakest might be on Drake's album, right?
My guy borderline forgot about the feature.
I forget about Drake's album. Period. Listen, are we
We're not
are
even
we
doing
gonna
that.
do most disappointing album too?
Are we doing that? We throwing
We
shade
don't need to
already? I think
do
it's a
we
little
don't
bit
need to
early in
do
the game
that
to
in
be
the
throwing
year, but
shade.
I don't want to
Okay,
put that
are we
on
gonna
print.
throw shade and publicize it? I don't know if we're
I don't
there
want to
yet.
put that in print, but we can talk about it here. What do y'all think is the most disappointing hip hop album of 2021?
Hmm.
Um, I might be going Certified Lover Boy off the top of my head. Either that or the Meek Project.
Oh, the what project?
I was gonna say Meek Mill's project.
I would think Meek's project probably because I think Drake's project might still be they're on the same level to me, but Meek had more of an opportunity to do something new and to take his following somewhere different. And so I don't think he capitalized on what could have been a potential moment.
I don't like how, and I know they just did the performance, and I don't know if you saw the Kanye and Drake performance, but I don't like how it seems like Certified Lover Boy, the album, marketing wise, was basically piggybacking off of Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't feel like that album was marketed to stand alone. It was in contrast. Like it was almost like they created this fake quarrel for promotional purposes.
You're not gonna let it go.
You were at the Donda listening event in Atlanta, the first one, and you
Right.
saw the real energy that was out there and how people were excited to the energy that was created. Right? You saw this is what the people came for. They came for some music. They didn't come for some bullshit, whatever, whatever. You know what I mean? And regardless of how you think about the project Donda, he was able to jumpstart that energy just on his music alone or just his presence and his legacy alone. It felt like we didn't get a release date for Certified Lover Boy until Donda got a release date. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mike, the most impactful moment for me about going to the Kanye event was actually walking in and out and seeing the masses of different ethnicities and culture that were downtown in Atlanta to go see Kanye. It was, you would have thought Prince or Michael Jackson was still alive and in town by the diversity. Not by the mania, but by the diversity. It's like, who the fuck is in town? Is Prince in town? Is Michael Jackson in town? Sade? Janet? Like, who here?
Right, right.
It was like that, Mike. I ain't never seen a rap show go that way.
Because clearly, even with the Larry Hoover tribute, not tribute, but benefit concert, which I think is great that they're doing a great thing with that. It was clear that these guys have love for each other and admiration for each other, and that's awesome. But why drag this out? We don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't, first of all, we don't need back and forths in this culture anyway, and especially if you ain't got no real problems like that. This just felt like very manufactured and very industry, and it feels like, once again, a Drake album doesn't have the music to stand on its own. And it's interesting because this is like the biggest artist in probably music. And so for that reason, I might have to say it is the most disappointing. Not to mention the features that are on there. Jay-Z has a feature on there.
Mike, when you're saying disappointed, though, what has he given you recently to think that this project was about to be succinctly better than what he's been giving us the last 4 to 5, 6 years?
That's a fair point.
I'm saying, when you're saying disappointed, it's like, well, in order for there to be disappointed, there has to be some sort of expectation. I think the expectation is being based on stuff that was done more 8, 9, 10 years ago.
I think the expectation is based more on numerical stats and stuff, and I think it kind of undershot those things too.
Well, that's why as a hip hop artist, it's important to kind of like Mike, you got to play the game, but you can't embed yourself with that too much if you're in it for the long haul.
No, because the numbers are going to be different. They're not always going to stay the way they stay.
No. Because what I'm saying is that, like, being legendary is being legendary, and there's different ways to approaching it. But in this business, the best way to be legendary is to make classic material and to be a great MC. Who's number one this year? That's somebody that played the game and sold some records, but then like their timing came, but they just kept on making records, and then they started making great records again.
I think when the biggest artists in music or in hip hop, I think we could definitively say like the numbers are what they are, right? The current biggest artists in hip hop, when they drop a forgettable album, we have to mark that as disappointing, right?
I guess, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like big the who, because now we have to talk about where we're taking this culture and who we're letting dictate the pace, because it's like, well, if he's the biggest artist, what's saying that other than the numbers? Because I don't hear people saying that. I don't hear people in the street being like, man, I can't wait for Drake next shit to drop.
Well,
like I hear people talking that way about Mike. I hear people talking that way about Kiss right now. I hear people talking that way about Gibbs.
That's interesting you say that, because we were just talking about you.
People be like, yo, Coop, when that new Drake dropping, like, niggas don't be talking to me about like that.
No, I feel you. And see, I'm glad that, you went out there and you saw what Kanye was able to bring out just on the fact that he said he was going to present new music. Could Drake do that? I know what the numbers say, but that's just numbers. That might not be real life. So you're right. I mean, I think Kanye's still the biggest artist in hip hop.
No, he is, Mike. Drake's not going to have that type of diversity at his show. He's probably going to have a lot of women at his show. It's probably going to be more women, but it's not going to be as diverse as Kanye's was. Like,
I say about,
even the diversity in the classes of black people, Mike. Like, I seen the nerds and the gangsters.
Yeah.
Like, the G's was out and the nerds was out. I was like, oh, everybody showing up about, yeah, okay.
The thing is, man, like, it's kind of like, I lost my train of thought. I'm sitting here reading some of these comments. Michael Sanders said Coop is a genius. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that we look at things on a numeric standpoint sometimes when we talk about who's the biggest artist, and a lot of that's manufactured, but you can't manufacture what you saw that night. And I regained my train of thought. I know what I was going to say. My thing is, if Drake was really able to bring out what Kanye was able to bring out, he wouldn't have piggybacked off of Kanye's album. He wouldn't have went out there and did this concert with him or none of this stuff. He would just do that stuff on his own.
So
Just like I've always felt like about Jay, right? Like if Jay didn't need Dame and Kareem at the beginning, it would have just been him. Like,
easy.
yeah, we know how you get down. It's
Yeah, why would he split the pot 3 ways unless there was a necessity to?
That's not how he rolls anyway.
Right.
Any opportunity to cut out the middleman, he's gonna do it. So I don't like when people try to, discount what they brought to the table. Obviously, they were necessary. He would have just done it himself.
That's fair when you say that. That's the pressure that the game applies, though, because when you're comparing Drake to Kanye, oh, Mike, I don't think Jay or Nas could have did what Kanye just did either, though. And so the comparing anybody to Ye in that regard right now, probably isn't fair, Mike. You get what I'm saying? There's levels. There's levels to certain things that numbers don't dictate. And like Ye's stadium flow in this hip hop sphere is unmatched. I've been telling you that, Mike. You've been making stadium music since what's the one, late registration, graduation. Like he been on stadium flow since graduation, Mike. So he's been hitting masses of people that don't belong to hip hop like for a minute and making them followers.
Well, do you think that the notion that Drake is the biggest artist in hip hop is going to continue, or you think that's done? It's diminishing, or what?
See, that's what I'm saying. Is like, Mike, who's saying that other than the? I mean, Mike, who's saying that other than the media publications? That's not us and the powers that be. Like,
no, that's real.
That?
People in the
nobody that belongs to this culture is
well,
saying
that. But you know what? It's one of those things, though.
No, Mike, I can remember like when Thank Me Later came out. Oh, I can remember people talking about Drake a certain way and checking for him a certain way then. You feel what I'm saying? It hasn't been that way in a long time.
People talk that still like he's all-time great. You know what I'm saying? You know what it reminds me of?
No, that's
you know what it reminds me of?
That's not people.
No, but this is what happens when the publications and the mainstream media just similar to the whole Marshall notion, right? When they continuously say these things, you get in the barbershop and then somebody will go out there and spit somebody's name without any basis for even saying it. And I think Drake is kind of like Marshall in that sense, where he's been inputted into a conversation because mainstream publications or mainstream media has told people that, yeah, this guy's one of the greats. He's one of the greats. He's one of the greats. I think that he's just as much of a pop artist as Eminem is. But that's just my opinion.
No.
Who's more pop? Eminem or Drake? Come on now.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, Mike. I mean, so when you're saying that, like, Drake makes records for this community and for this culture.
Okay.
Does he not?
He gets on some. I don't know if Tootsie Slide.
As far as getting on some, that shouldn't even be, Mike, because he got like Aston Martin music, Diced Pineapples. He's got the Wayne stuff. He's got he does stuff for this culture, so it's a little different. Even if it's pop for this culture.
It's very. It's one of those. It's a slippery slope, right?
It's pop for the rap sphere, though. He's probably been the first one to tangle that slippery slope this long.
But the slippery slope is the fact that, okay, I've made crossover records.
Like Hot in Here by Nelly wasn't like no rap shit. That's like some rap kind of gone pop. Like, is it not?
That's fair. But I think what Drake has been able to do that Nelly didn't do is, okay, I'm going to have these crossover songs, but I'm also going to go work with this person and insert myself in this situation. Let me insert myself into Versace with Migos. Let me insert myself into Aston Martin music. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what records would you say that he just jump started that were for the culture like that? Like started from the bottom or something?
Mike, I don't know if that's fair because I can recall this artist named Busta Rhymes that kind of took a similar path once upon a time by just bum rushing other people's shit and getting loose on it. You remember that?
But he still had Woo-Ha. You know what I'm saying?
Before Woo-Ha.
No, before. But I'm just saying, like, Drake has done this while he was already an
Mike, it's
established
kind of how he
artist.
came into the game, though. That's what I'm saying. When you're saying that, he kind of came in like that, though. He kind of came in contributing. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, here's the thing, Mike. If I was like to make a Drake's greatest hits, it would probably be Drake on other people's records that are my favorite records.
Have you heard the notion, the Drake era, right? Like,
When did that happen?
see, I mean, that's a real thing. I mean,
Listen,
I know, I think it was Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club that was saying that the Drake era is over, and I'm like, so what exactly is the Drake era, and where does that start and end at? Like,
I say so. At what point did he like supersede Kanye on a star level or Kendrick on an MC level that I missed during the
and
entirety of his run? Because they were there during the entirety of his run, pretty
and
much. During
Kendrick's
the
a big
I mean,
star, and Kendrick's made much better projects.
it's not even a question.
It's not even a question, and I don't think anybody's going to tell you bar for bar that Kendrick's not the better MC. Um, I don't know, man. I think that somebody with that much hype around them and those many resources, I think when they drop a forgettable effort, it has to be considered disappointing. But I think we're thinking of disappointing on a different standard, right? You're thinking about disappointing like this person didn't come through with what they could have been able to come through ability wise, as opposed to um, expectation wise. I don't know. Those are kind of similar things, but yeah, it's hard to describe.
No, I get what you're saying. So, Mike, here's what I mean. Okay, you and I both like the Nasir project. A lot of people felt like the project is uneven.
Hmm.
When you hear the beginning of King's Disease 1, you're like, oh, okay, back. That's Nas. The Nas that everybody want to hear on some sort of level with some new things sprinkled in. Drake hasn't done that and given you the expectation to look forward to it on that level. And so we have like that's why that's why I be telling people it's like, no, we don't belong to nobody and we can just really pull up and like tell the truth because what you're really saying is like a misnomer of the truth being spread around, essentially. You get what I'm
Well,
saying? It's a misnomer of the truth. And when I'm saying it's a misnomer, I'm saying that in a statistical way because the numbers are being involved. And so it's like, well, yeah, if you want to put those numbers on a bell-shaped curve, he's going to get the highest marks on that bell-shaped curve. But if you look at the other people on that bell-shaped curve, Mike, they perform better than him when you look at it. If you
I would
just
like to see if Drake were to do a listening event at I was gonna say Phillips Arena at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta and see what that crowd looks like in relation
that's what I'm
to what what
that's what
Kanye
I'm
was
talking
able.
about with
That's
that bell-shaped
real
curve,
life.
Mike, because that's the thing. Like you can take a multitude of numbers and sets and people are going to chart differently on different graphs. So it's like if you're just doing numbers, oh well, yeah, he's going to be highest on that bell-shaped curve. Go pack out that stadium. But let's go do the numbers on number of different ethnicities show up to your show. Because like Mike, I mean, just at a glance walking in and out, I saw about 7 or 8 different cultures going to Kanye's show. Like I saw Africans, I saw an Egyptian. So you get what I'm saying?